Marcus Wellington adjusted his baseball cap and sunglasses one more time before stepping out of his modest sedan. The billionaire tech mogul had traded his usual chauffeur-driven Bentley for something that wouldn't draw attention. Today wasn't about business meetings or boardrooms. Today was about his 8-year-old daughter, Emma, who sat beside him clutching a small teddy bear. "Daddy, why can't we go to the fancy restaurant like usual?" Emma asked, her innocent eyes looking up at him through thick-rimmed glasses that made her look even more adorable. Marcus smiled softly. His daughter had been through so much lately. The divorce from her mother had been messy and public, splashed across every tabloid and business magazine. Emma had been caught in the middle, photographers following her to school, classmates treating her differently once they learned who her father was. All Marcus wanted was to give his little girl a normal experience, away from the spotlight that constantly followed their family. "Sometimes the best food comes from the simplest places. Sweetheart," he said, taking her small hand in his. "And today it's just you and me. No phones, no meetings, no photographers." The small family diner they approached looked nothing like the 5-star establishments Marcus usually frequented. Paint peeled slightly from the wooden sign that read Mama's Kitchen, and the parking lot was filled with pickup trucks and older cars. But it had something his expensive restaurants lacked: warmth and authenticity. As they pushed through the glass door, a little bell chimed overhead. The smell of fresh coffee and homemade pie filled the air. The interior was cozy with red vinyl booths, checkered floors, and walls covered in local community photos and thank you notes from customers. Emma's eyes widened with curiosity as she took in the unfamiliar surroundings. She had never been anywhere like this. Her world consisted of private schools, exclusive clubs, and restaurants where reservations required weeks of advance notice. A young black woman approached them with a bright smile that immediately put them at ease. She wore a simple uniform with a name tag that read Maya, and despite the busy lunch rush, she moved with grace and genuine warmth. "Welcome to Mama's Kitchen," Maya said cheerfully. "Table for 2?" Marcus nodded, grateful that Maya showed no signs of recognizing him. The baseball cap and casual clothes were working perfectly. Maya led them to a corner booth away from the main dining area. As they settled in, Emma looked around nervously. She wasn't used to places where she couldn't hear the quiet murmur of business deals, and wasn't surrounded by people in expensive suits. "First time here?" Maya asked, noticing Emma's wide-eyed expression. "Yes?" Emma replied quietly, still clutching her teddy bear. Maya knelt down to Emma's eye level, something that surprised both father and daughter. In their usual world, service staff maintained professional distance. "Well, you picked a great day," Maya said with genuine enthusiasm. "We have the best chocolate chip pancakes in 3 counties, and I happen to know that Mama just pulled fresh apple pie from the oven." Emma's face lit up for the first time in weeks. "Really, chocolate chip pancakes for lunch?" Maya glanced at Marcus, who nodded with amusement. "When you're 8 years old, chocolate chip pancakes are appropriate for any meal," he said. As Maya took their orders, Marcus found himself studying her. There was something different about her approach. She wasn't just doing her job. She seemed to genuinely care about making their experience special. When other customers called for her attention, she politely acknowledged them but finished helping Emma choose between orange juice and chocolate milk first. "Take your time deciding," Maya told Emma. "And if you need anything at all, just wave me over. I'll be right here taking care of you and your dad." After Maya left to place their order, Emma tugged on Marcus's sleeve. "Daddy, she's really nice. She talks to me like I'm important." Marcus felt his heart tighten. His daughter shouldn't be surprised by kindness, yet here she was, amazed that someone treated her with genuine care rather than the artificial politeness that came with knowing who she was. As they waited for their food, Marcus watched Maya work. She remembered every customer's name, asked about their families, and moved through the restaurant like she was hosting a gathering of old friends. When an elderly man at the counter seemed confused about the menu, she patiently explained each item. When a mother struggled with 2 crying toddlers, Maya appeared with crayons and coloring books without being asked. "She's like a real-life fairy godmother," Emma whispered to her father. Watching Maya help another family, Marcus couldn't disagree. In his world of calculated interactions and people who wanted something from him, Maya's genuine kindness stood out like a beacon. She wasn't performing for tips or recognition. This was simply who she was. When their food arrived, Maya had added a small surprise. She had arranged Emma's pancakes in the shape of a smiley face, complete with whipped cream dots for eyes and a strawberry slice for a mouth. Emma gasped with delight. "Look, Daddy. She made it special just for me." Marcus felt something stir in his chest that he hadn't experienced in years. Watching his daughter's genuine joy, seeing her interact with someone who treated her as just a regular kid rather than a billionaire's daughter, reminded him of what he had been trying to give her all along. Normalcy, kindness, and authentic human connection. As Maya refilled his coffee, their hands briefly touched, and Marcus felt an unexpected jolt of electricity. When their eyes met, he saw intelligence, compassion, and a strength that intrigued him. For the first time in months, Marcus Wellington wasn't thinking about stock prices, board meetings, or his next acquisition. He was simply a father, grateful for a kind waitress who had made his daughter smile. Over the following weeks, Marcus found himself returning to Mama's kitchen with Emma every Saturday. What started as a single attempt to give his daughter a normal experience had become the highlight of both their weeks. Emma would count down the days, asking repeatedly if Saturday had arrived yet. Maya had quickly become Emma's favorite person outside of family. The young waitress remembered every detail about Emma, her favorite pancake toppings, how she liked her orange juice with extra ice, and that she always needed her teddy bear to sit in the booth beside her. Mr. Mike, Maya called him, using the fake name Marcus had given on their second visit. She had never questioned why a man could afford to eat out every week, but drove such a modest car, or why he always paid in cash and seemed uncomfortable when other customers got too friendly. Emma had begun bringing Maya little drawings she made at school. Maya would tape them to the wall behind the counter, right next to the community photos, treating Emma's artwork like precious treasures. This small gesture meant everything to a little girl who was used to having her accomplishments overshadowed by her father's fame. "Maya puts my pictures up where everyone can see them," Emma told her father during one of their drives home. "She says I'm going to be a famous artist someday." Marcus smiled, but inside he felt a complex mixture of emotions. His daughter was blossoming under Maya's attention, becoming more confident and outgoing each week. But he was also developing feelings he hadn't expected and didn't know how to handle. During their fourth visit, disaster struck in the form of Emma spilling her chocolate milk all over herself in the booth. The 8-year-old burst into tears, embarrassed and upset. In Marcus's usual world, staff would quickly clean up while maintaining professional distance, making the situation feel clinical and impersonal. Maya's response was entirely different. She immediately sat down in the booth next to Emma, pulling napkins from her apron while speaking in soothing tones. "Oh, honey, that's nothing to cry about," Maya said gently, dabbing at Emma's shirt. "You know what? This happens to me at least twice a week. Last Tuesday I spilled an entire pot of coffee on myself right in front of the whole restaurant." Emma sniffled. "Really?" "Really, truly," Maya said, making exaggerated gestures that made Emma giggle. "And the week before that, I dropped a whole pie. Blueberry everywhere. It looked like a fruit explosion happened in the kitchen." While Maya cleaned up, she kept Emma laughing with silly stories about her own clumsy moments. She never made Emma feel like she had done something wrong or caused trouble. Instead, she turned the accident into an opportunity for connection and comfort. Marcus watched this interaction with growing amazement. Maya had instinctively known exactly what Emma needed. Not just cleanup, but emotional support and reassurance. She had the natural parenting instincts that many people struggled to develop. "You know what the best part about spills is?" Maya asked Emma conspiratorially. "What?" "It means you get to wear one of Mama's special kitchen aprons while your shirt dries." Maya disappeared for a moment and returned with a child-sized apron decorated with cartoon pancakes. "This makes you an honorary kitchen helper." Emma's tears were completely forgotten as she proudly wore the apron, helping Maya refill napkin dispensers at nearby tables. Other customers smiled at the sight of the little girl taking her job so seriously. Marcus realized he was falling for Maya, and it terrified him. Not because of who she was, but because of who he was. How could he explain that he had been lying about his identity? How could he tell her that he was one of the richest men in the country, when she knew him as a regular customer who drove an old car? The situation became more complicated when Emma started asking questions. "Daddy, why don't we ever invite Maya to our house?" Emma asked during their drive home that day. Marcus struggled for an answer. How could he explain that their house was a mansion featured in architectural magazines? That Maya would immediately realize he had been deceiving her? Well, sweetheart, Maya is very busy with her work, he said carefully. But she's always nice to everyone. I bet she would like our house. And she could meet Grandma Rose when she visits. Marcus's mother, Rose Wellington, was arriving the following week for her monthly visit. She was a sharp woman who had built the family fortune alongside Marcus's late father. She would see through his deception immediately and probably disapprove of his feelings for a waitress. Not because of Maya's job, but because of the lies Marcus had built around their relationship. Maybe someday, Emma, Marcus said, knowing that someday might never come. But Emma had inherited her father's determination. During their next visit, she presented Maya with a hand-drawn invitation to her birthday party the following month. You have to come, Emma insisted, pressing the colorful paper into Maya's hands. Daddy said we're having it at our house and there's going to be a bounce house and everything. Maya looked at the invitation with surprise and touched by the gesture. The address was written in Emma's careful child handwriting. But Marcus felt panic rising as he realized Maya would now know where they lived. That's so sweet of you. Emma, Maya said, looking at Marcus uncertainly. But I'll have to check with your daddy first. Sometimes grown-ups have complicated schedules. After Emma went to use the restroom, Maya approached Marcus with gentle concern. Mike, I need to ask you something, and I hope you won't be offended, she said quietly. Emma is such a sweet girl and I care about her a lot. But I'm getting the feeling that there's something you're not telling me about your situation. Marcus felt his stomach drop. What do you mean? Well, you always pay in cash, you're uncomfortable when people ask personal questions, and now Emma's talking about bounce houses and a big house party. Maya paused, choosing her words carefully. Look, I don't care if you're going through a divorce or if you're in witness protection or whatever. I just want to make sure Emma is safe, and that you're not in some kind of trouble. The genuine concern in Maya's voice nearly broke Marcus's heart. Here he was, one of the most powerful men in the business world. And this kind woman was worried about protecting his daughter from him. Maya, I promise you that Emma is safe and loved, he said, meaning every word. The situation is complicated, but not in the way you might think. I just needed to give her some normalcy after everything we've been through. Maya studied his face and seemed to find what she was looking for. Okay, I trust you. But Mike, whatever's going on, you can talk to me. Emma isn't the only one who seems to need a friend. As they prepared to leave that day, Emma hugged Maya goodbye like she always did. But this time, Maya looked at Marcus over Emma's head with an expression that made his heart race. There was understanding there, and something that looked like the beginning of deeper feelings. Marcus realized he was at a crossroads. He could continue the deception and risk losing Maya when the truth eventually came out. Or he could trust her with his real identity and risk losing the normal life he had tried to build for Emma. Either choice could cost him the two most important things in his world, his daughter's happiness and his growing love for an extraordinary woman who had captured both their hearts. The truth began unraveling in the most unexpected way. Maya's younger brother James worked as a tech support specialist at a local computer repair shop. During a casual conversation over dinner, Maya mentioned the kind customer and his daughter who had become regulars at the diner. This guy, Mike, and his little girl, Emma, come in every Saturday, Maya told James while they shared takeout in her small apartment. The kid is just precious, but I get the feeling her dad is going through something tough. Maybe a messy divorce? James looked up from his food with interest. What's he look like? Maya described Marcus. Tall, always wearing baseball caps and sunglasses. Well-spoken but careful about personal details. Drives an old sedan, but something about him suggests he's used to better things. Maya, James said slowly, pulling out his phone. I think I know who you're talking about, and it's not what you think. He showed her a business magazine article featuring Marcus Wellington on the cover. Even with different clothes and no disguise, the resemblance was unmistakable. This can't be right, Maya whispered, staring at the photo. This says he's worth billions. Mike drives a 15-year-old car and orders the daily special. James pulled up more articles, photos of Marcus at charity galas, business conferences, and unfortunately, several from his very public divorce proceedings. In one particularly painful tabloid photo, young Emma was visible being hurried through a crowd of photographers, looking frightened and overwhelmed. Oh my God, Maya breathed, finally understanding. He was protecting her. All those Saturdays, he was just trying to give his daughter a normal experience. The realization hit her like a wave. Every interaction they'd had took on new meaning. His nervousness around other customers, the cash payments, the careful way he avoided personal questions. It wasn't suspicious behavior. It was a desperate father trying to shield his child from a world that saw her as a commodity, rather than a little girl. "What are you going to do?" James asked, watching his sister process this information. Maya stared at the photos of Emma being pursued by photographers and felt her heart break. She thought about the shy little girl who had gradually opened up over their Saturday visits, who drew pictures and proudly wore the kitchen apron, who had never once acted entitled or spoiled, despite having more money than Maya could imagine. "I'm going to pretend I don't know," Maya said firmly. "That little girl deserves to have at least one place where she can just be a kid." But keeping the secret proved more challenging than Maya anticipated. The next Saturday, when Marcus and Emma arrived for their usual visit, Maya found herself seeing everything differently. The way Marcus carefully scanned the restaurant before sitting down wasn't paranoid. It was protective. The generous cash tips he left weren't showing off. They were gratitude for the normalcy Maya provided. Emma bounded up to Maya with her usual enthusiasm, clutching a new drawing. "Look, Maya. I drew you and me making pancakes together." The picture showed two stick figures in a kitchen, both wearing aprons and smiling. One figure had Maya's curly hair, and the other had Emma's glasses. It was innocent and sweet, but knowing what Maya now knew about Emma's real life made it heartbreaking. "It's beautiful, sweetheart," Maya said, taping it to the wall with extra care. "You're getting better every week." During their meal, Emma chattered happily about school, her upcoming birthday party, and her excitement about her grandmother's visit. Marcus listened with the patient attention of a devoted father, asking questions and showing genuine interest in every detail of his daughter's day. Maya watched them together and realized something important. Marcus wasn't just a billionaire playing at being normal. He was a father who had found something precious in their little diner, and his feelings for her were real, not some rich man's temporary amusement. The test came when another customer recognized Marcus despite his disguise. A man at a nearby table kept staring and eventually approached their booth. "Excuse me," the man said loudly, "but aren't you Marcus Wellington, the tech guy? I saw you on the news last week." Maya saw the color drain from Marcus's face and watched Emma shrink back against the booth, clutching her teddy bear tightly. The little girl's reaction told Maya everything she needed to know about how intrusive public recognition usually was. Without hesitation, Maya stepped between the man and their table. "I'm sorry, sir, but I think you have the wrong person," Maya said smoothly. "This is Mike, and he's one of our regular customers. How can I help you with anything else, or were you finished with your meal?" The man looked confused but backed down under Maya's polite but firm intervention. After he left, Maya turned back to find Marcus staring at her with a mixture of gratitude and amazement. Emma reached across the table and took Maya's hand. "Thank you for protecting us," she said quietly, with a maturity that no 8-year-old should need to have. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "Always, sweetheart. This is your safe place." After Emma excused herself to look at the dessert display, Marcus leaned forward and spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. "You know, don't you?" he said. Maya nodded. "My brother figured it out." "But Marcus, or do you prefer Mike? It doesn't change anything. You're still the father who brings his daughter here every Saturday, and she's still the sweet girl who lights up this whole place." Marcus closed his eyes, relief and fear warring in his expression. "I never meant to lie to you. I just wanted Emma to have somewhere she could be normal. After the divorce, the media attention, the way people started treating her differently when they knew who I was, I just wanted to give her this one thing." "You don't have to explain," Maya said gently. "I understand why you did it. The question is, what happens now?" Marcus looked across the diner at Emma, who was carefully studying the pie options with the serious concentration she brought to everything. "I don't know. I've never been in this situation before." "What situation?" Maya asked. Marcus met her eyes, and Maya saw vulnerability there that had nothing to do with his wealth or status. "I've never fallen in love with someone while pretending to be someone else. I don't know how to fix this without losing everything that matters." Maya felt her breath catch. Love. He had said love. Marcus, she said softly. The person I care about is the man who sits in that booth every Saturday, who listens patiently to every story his daughter tells, who tips generously but not showily, who treats everyone with respect regardless of who they are. That person isn't a lie, no matter what name you use or what car you drive. But there's so much you don't know about my world, Marcus said. The media attention, the security concerns, the way people will judge you for being with me. I can't ask you to take that on. Maya looked at Emma, who was now helping an elderly customer reach something from a high shelf, and then back at Marcus. You're not asking me to take anything on. You're asking me if I want to be part of your and Emma's lives, and the answer is yes, I do. But we need to start with honesty, even if it's complicated. Emma returned to the table with news that she had convinced the kitchen to make her a special mini pie for dessert. As she chatted about her negotiations with the cook, Maya and Marcus sat in a new understanding. The deception was over, but the real relationship was just beginning. The challenge now would be navigating the transition from their protected Saturday world to the reality of Marcus's public life, all while keeping Emma's happiness and security at the center of everything they did. The first real test came sooner than expected. Marcus's mother, Rose Wellington, arrived for Emma's birthday party a day early and insisted on meeting the mysterious waitress, her granddaughter. Couldn't stop talking about grandmother. Rose wants to come to Mama's kitchen with us tomorrow, Emma announced excitedly during their regular Saturday visit. She says anyone who makes her grandbaby this happy must be very special. Maya felt nervous butterflies in her stomach. She had researched enough to know that Rose Wellington was a formidable businesswoman who had helped build one of the largest tech empires in the country. Meeting her felt more intimidating than any job interview Maya had ever faced. Are you sure that's a good idea? Maya asked Marcus quietly, while Emma colored a new picture at their booth. Marcus ran his hands through his hair, a gesture Maya had learned meant he was stressed. My mother is very protective of Emma, especially after everything with the divorce. She needs to know that you're genuine, not someone trying to take advantage of our situation. And what if she doesn't approve of me? Maya asked, voicing the fear they both shared. Then we'll figure it out together, Marcus said, reaching across to squeeze her hand. Maya, what we have is real. My mother will see that. The next day, Maya arrived at work 30 minutes early to prepare herself mentally. She had chosen her best uniform and made sure her hair was perfect. But she still felt inadequate to meet someone who lived in a world so different from her own. Marcus arrived with Emma and an elegant woman in her 60s who carried herself with quiet authority. Rose Wellington was smaller than Maya had expected, but her sharp eyes missed nothing as she surveyed the diner. Emma bounded ahead as usual, throwing her arms around Maya in their customary greeting. Maya, this is my grandmother Rose. Grandmother, this is Maya, the best waitress and friend in the whole world. Rose approached with measured steps, extending a well-manicured hand. Ms. Johnson, I presume. I've heard quite a lot about you. Mrs. Wellington, Maya replied, grateful that her voice remained steady. It's an honor to meet you. Emma talks about you all the time. As Maya led them to their regular booth, she noticed Rose observing everything, the cleanliness of the restaurant, the way other customers greeted Maya warmly, and most importantly, how Emma moved through the space with complete comfort and joy. Rose ordered simply coffee and a piece of apple pie, but Maya could feel herself being evaluated with every interaction. The older woman watched as Maya helped Emma decide between pancakes and waffles, noticed how Maya remembered exactly how Marcus liked his coffee, and observed the easy conversation that flowed between the three of them. The real moment of truth came when Emma accidentally knocked over her water glass for the second time in 2 weeks. Maya responded exactly as she had before, with patience, humor, and immediate comfort for the embarrassed little girl. You know what, Emma? Maya said, cleaning up with a smile. I think you and I are both just enthusiastic hand-talkers. We get so excited about our conversations that we forget to watch our glasses. As Maya helped Emma clean up, Rose leaned forward and spoke quietly to Marcus. She doesn't treat Emma like a wealthy child or try to impress her with special attention. She treats her like a grandmother would. Marcus nodded, watching Maya turn the spill into a teaching moment about helping in the kitchen. That's exactly why I fell in love with her mom. She sees Emma as just Emma. When Maya returned to take Rose's order for a second cup of coffee, The older woman asked a direct question. Ms. Johnson, my son tells me you recently learned about our family's circumstances. How do you feel about the complications that might bring to your life? Maya sat down in the booth, something she had never done while working. But Rose's tone made it clear this was a serious conversation, not a casual customer interaction. Mrs. Wellington, I won't pretend that learning the truth wasn't overwhelming, Maya said honestly. But what matters to me is that your son spent months trying to give Emma normal experiences, because he loves her enough to put her needs before everything else. That tells me what kind of man he really is. And the media attention? The scrutiny that comes with being associated with our family? Maya glanced at Emma, who was showing another customer her latest drawing, completely oblivious to the serious conversation happening at their table. I've been thinking about that a lot, Maya admitted. I know it won't be easy, but Emma has already shown me what it's like when she feels safe and loved. If I can help create more spaces where she can just be a kid, then whatever challenges come with that are worth it. Rose studied Maya's face for a long moment. You understand that Marcus could provide you with financial security, opportunities you might not have otherwise. Many people would find that appealing. Maya felt a flash of indignation but kept her voice level. Mrs. Wellington, I don't need Marcus to provide me with anything except his honesty and his respect. I have a job, an apartment, and a life that I've built myself. What I want is to be part of Emma's life because she's an amazing kid, and to be part of Marcus's life because I love who he is, not what he has. Emma returned to the table at that moment, sliding into the booth next to her grandmother with the casual affection that showed how secure she felt with her family. Grandmother Rose, did Maya tell you about how she taught me to make the smiley face pancakes, and how she puts all my drawings on the wall, and how she helped me not be scared when that man was taking pictures of us outside school last week? Rose's eyebrows raised slightly. What man with pictures? Emma looked confused by the adult attention her casual comment had received. The man with the big camera who was waiting outside school. Maya was picking up her niece and she saw him bothering me. She told him he needed to leave kids alone and called the school security. Maya felt her cheeks flush. She had been picking up her sister's daughter from the same school Emma attended, and had seen the child being pursued by a photographer. She had intervened instinctively, not knowing until later that evening that it had been Emma. Marcus stared at Maya with amazement. You protected Emma before you knew who I was. I protected a scared kid because that's what any decent person would do, Maya replied. I didn't know it was Emma until she told me about it the next Saturday. Rose Wellington's entire demeanor shifted. She reached across the table and covered Maya's hand with her own. Ms. Johnson, Maya, I apologize for testing you, but I needed to know if you understood what it means to love someone in this family. What do you mean? It means putting Emma's well-being above everything else, including your own comfort. It means being willing to face criticism and scrutiny to protect what matters. It means understanding that our money and status are tools to be used responsibly, not prizes to be won. Rose smiled warmly for the first time since arriving. You've already proven you understand all of that. Emma looked back and forth between the adults, sensing something important had happened but not quite understanding what. Does this mean Maya can come to my birthday party? She asked hopefully. Rose looked at Maya with genuine affection. I think Maya should absolutely come to your birthday party. In fact, I think Maya should be part of many family celebrations to come. As they prepared to leave that day, Rose pulled Maya aside for a private word. My son has been through a difficult time, she said quietly. The divorce was brutal and he's been focused entirely on protecting Emma. He hasn't allowed himself to trust anyone new. The fact that he's opened his heart to you means something significant. Maya nodded, feeling the weight of that trust. But more importantly, Rose continued, Emma has been through trauma too. She needs stability and people she can count on. If you're going to be part of her life, it has to be all the way. Half measures will only hurt her more. I understand, Maya said solemnly. I'm all in, Mrs. Wellington, for both of them. Rose smiled and embraced Maya warmly. Then welcome to the family, dear. And please call me Rose. As Maya watched the 3 generations of Wellingtons leave the diner together, she realized that everything was about to change. But for the first time since learning the truth about Marcus's identity, she felt ready for whatever came next. Emma's birthday party became the bridge between Maya's simple world and the Wellington family's reality. When Maya arrived at the address from Emma's hand-drawn invitation, She sat in her car for several minutes, staring at the massive estate gates with growing disbelief. The Wellington mansion wasn't just large. It was a sprawling masterpiece of architecture and landscaping that belonged in magazines. Maya drove up the circular driveway feeling completely out of place in her modest Honda Civic, among the luxury vehicles already parked near the house. Marcus met her at the front door, dressed casually in jeans and a polo shirt, but Maya could see the nervousness in his eyes. This was the moment when their two worlds would truly collide. "You came," he said, relief evident in his voice. "Of course I came," Maya replied, holding up a carefully wrapped present. "I promised Emma I would be here." The party was unlike anything Maya had ever experienced, yet somehow it still felt like Emma. Yes, there was a professional bounce house that was larger than Maya's apartment, a catering staff that could have served a small wedding, and decorations that probably cost more than Maya made in a month. But at the center of it all was an 8-year-old girl in a simple birthday dress absolutely glowing with happiness. "Maya!" Emma shrieked when she saw her, running across the vast lawn in a way that made several adults gasp with concern about grass stains on her expensive dress. Maya caught Emma in a huge hug, spinning her around as she would any excited child. She noticed several other guests watching this interaction with curiosity, clearly wondering who this young black woman was and why the birthday girl was so attached to her. "Did you see the bounce house? And the pony rides? And Grandmother Rose said we're having 3 different kinds of cake." Emma chattered excitedly, pulling Maya by the hand to show her everything. As they toured the party together, Maya began to understand the complicated world Emma lived in. Other children at the party were polite but oddly formal, more concerned with staying clean and behaving properly than with actually playing. Parents stood in clusters discussing business deals and social obligations rather than watching their kids have fun. Emma seemed to sense this too. Despite all the expensive entertainment, she stayed close to Maya, treating her like an anchor in a sea of superficial social interactions. "Want to see my room?" Emma asked during a quiet moment. Maya nodded and Emma led her into the house. The interior was even more impressive than the exterior, soaring ceilings, original artwork, and furnishings that belonged in museums. But Emma's room was different. While expensive, it felt like an actual child's space, filled with books, art supplies, and toys that showed signs of real play. "Daddy made sure I could keep all my favorite things when we moved here after the divorce," Emma explained, showing Maya her collection of stuffed animals and her art corner. "He said just because we have a big house doesn't mean I have to be a different person." Maya's heart melted at this insight into Marcus's parenting. Despite his wealth, he understood what mattered to his daughter. "Look," Emma said, pointing to a wall where several familiar drawings were carefully framed and displayed. "Daddy had my pictures from the diner made into real art. He says, they're just as important as the expensive paintings." Downstairs, Maya recognized her own handwriting on some of the drawings, little notes of encouragement she had written on Emma's artwork. Seeing them treated as treasures in this magnificent home brought tears to her eyes. When they returned to the party, Maya noticed that Marcus was being pulled in different directions by various guests wanting his attention for business matters. Even at his daughter's birthday party, he couldn't escape the demands of his position. Maya made a decision. She approached Marcus during a brief lull in conversations. "Go handle whatever you need to handle," she told him quietly. "I'll keep an eye on Emma and make sure she's having fun." Marcus looked at her gratefully. "Are you sure? These people can be overwhelming and I don't want you to feel uncomfortable." "I'm here for Emma," Maya said simply. "Let me handle the fun part while you handle the business part." For the next hour, Maya transformed the party. She organized actual games that got the overly polite children laughing and playing like normal kids. She convinced them to use the bounce house properly, started a face painting station using supplies from Emma's art collection, and even got some of the stuffier parents to join in a relay race. Emma was in her element, finally able to be a regular kid at her own party. Maya watched her daughter-like charge blossom, under the attention of friends who were actually having fun rather than performing good behavior. The turning point came when one of the other mothers approached Maya with obvious curiosity. "I'm sorry, but I don't think we've met," the woman said with the polite smile that wealthy people used when they were fishing for information. "How do you know the Wellington family?" Maya felt every conversation around them pause slightly as people waited for her answer. She was acutely aware that her simple sundress and modest jewelry marked her as different from the designer-clad guests surrounding them. Before Maya could respond, Emma appeared at her side, chocolate cake smeared on her face and pure joy radiating from her smile. "This is Maya," Emma announced proudly to the group of adults. "She's my best friend and she makes the best pancakes in the world. And she teaches me how to be brave and she loves me just because I'm me." The simple honesty of Emma's introduction silenced the subtle interrogation. Several parents looked genuinely touched by the obvious bond between Maya and the birthday girl. Rose Wellington materialized beside them, elegant and authoritative in her silk dress and pearls. "Maya has become very important to our family," she said with warmth that left no room for judgment. Emma has flourished under her friendship. The social dynamics shifted immediately. If Rose Wellington approved of Maya, then she was someone worth knowing and respecting. Maya found herself included in conversations, asked about her work and her family, and treated with genuine interest rather than polite curiosity. But the real validation came from Marcus himself. As the party began winding down, he found Maya helping Emma open presents with the same enthusiasm she brought to everything else. "Maya," Marcus said, sitting down beside them on the grass despite his expensive clothes, "thank you for making this perfect for her." Emma looked up from the book she was examining. "Daddy, this was the best birthday ever because Maya was here. Can she come to everything now, please?" Marcus looked at Maya with an expression that made her heart race. "I hope she'll want to come to everything now." "Everything?" Maya asked softly. "Family dinners, school events, holidays, quiet Sunday mornings?" Marcus's voice was tender but serious. "Maya, I know this world is complicated and sometimes overwhelming. But if you're willing, I want you to be part of all of it. Not as a guest, but as family." Emma clapped her hands together. "Does that mean Maya can have her own room here? And we can have pancakes for breakfast every day?" Maya laughed through tears she hadn't realized were forming. "I think we'll have to work out some details, sweetheart." As the party ended and guests began leaving, Maya helped with cleanup, despite protests from the hired staff. She wanted to contribute something meaningful, even if it was just folding chairs and collecting paper plates. Marcus found her in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, helping the caterers pack up leftover food. "You don't have to do that," he said gently. "I know," Maya replied. "But this is who I am. I help where I'm needed. If I'm going to be part of this family, I need to know that's still okay." Marcus stepped closer, taking her hands in his despite the soapy water. "Maya, I don't want you to change who you are. That person, the one who helps and cares and treats everyone with respect, that's exactly who I fell in love with." "Even in this world?" Maya asked, gesturing around the mansion kitchen that was larger than her entire apartment. "Especially in this world," Marcus said firmly. "Emma and I need someone real, someone genuine. We need you." As if summoned by their conversation, Emma appeared in the doorway, now in pajamas and clutching her teddy bear. "Maya, will you read me a bedtime story?" she asked hopefully. "Daddy does good voices, but you make up the best adventure parts." Maya looked at Marcus, who nodded encouragingly. "I'd love to, sweetheart." As they walked upstairs together, Marcus, Emma, and Maya realized that she wasn't just entering their world. They were creating a new world together, one that combined the best of both their lives. It wouldn't always be easy, but it would be real, and it would be theirs. That night, as Maya read Emma a story about a brave princess who saved her kingdom through kindness rather than magic, she understood that she had found her own fairy tale ending, not because of the mansion or the money, but because she had found a man who valued her heart and a little girl who needed her love. The most beautiful part was that Emma had been the one to bring them together, simply by recognizing kindness when she saw it and refusing to let it go. 6 months later, Maya stood in the same diner where everything had begun, but now she wore a different ring on her finger and carried a different kind of hope in her heart. She had kept her job at Mama's kitchen despite Marcus's gentle suggestions that she didn't need to work anymore. For Maya, the diner represented independence and authenticity, values she refused to compromise even as her life transformed, in ways she never could have imagined. The morning rush was particularly busy when Emma burst through the door with her usual enthusiasm, followed by Marcus, who looked slightly frazzled. "Maya," Emma called out, weaving between tables to reach her. "Guess what happened at school yesterday?" Maya smiled, automatically reaching for the orange juice and starting Emma's pancake order. Their Saturday tradition had evolved but never disappeared. Now it included homework help, birthday planning for classmates, and endless discussions about Emma's latest art projects. "Tell me everything," Maya said, settling into their conversation while simultaneously serving other customers with the practiced efficiency that had made her Marcus's favorite person long before she became his fiancée. "Mrs. Peterson said my essay about heroes was the best in the class," Emma announced proudly. "And you know who I wrote about?" Maya's heart warmed as she suspected the answer. Emma had been writing a lot about everyday heroes lately. Teachers, firefighters, nurses, and people who showed kindness in small ways. "Who did you write about, sweetheart?" "You," Emma said, bouncing slightly in her seat. "I wrote about how you're a hero because you make people feel special just by being kind to them, and how you taught me that being rich doesn't make you important, but being good to people does." Marcus watched this exchange with the soft expression that had become familiar to Maya over the past months. He still marveled at the way Maya balanced her growing role in their lives with her determination to remain grounded in her own values. "That's wonderful, Emma," Maya said, genuinely moved. "But you know what? You're becoming a hero too, by choosing to be kind to everyone you meet." Emma beamed at this praise, then turned to more pressing matters. "Maya, are you going to keep working here after you and Daddy get married?" It was a question that had sparked many discussions between Maya and Marcus. He worried about her safety once their engagement became public knowledge. She worried about losing the part of herself that had attracted him in the first place. "What do you think I should do?" Maya asked, curious about Emma's perspective. Emma considered this seriously, in the thoughtful way she approached all important questions. "I think you should do what makes you happy. But maybe you could also teach other people how to be as good at helping as you are." From the mouths of babes, Maya thought. Emma's innocent suggestion had actually sparked an idea that Maya and Marcus had been developing. A foundation focused on hospitality training for underserved communities, giving people skills and opportunities in the service industry, while emphasizing the dignity and importance of caring for others. "That's a very smart idea," Maya told Emma. "Maybe we can work on that together." The bell above the door chimed, and Maya looked up to see Rose Wellington entering with her usual grace, followed by someone Maya didn't recognize, a well-dressed woman with a camera and notepad. Marcus tensed immediately. "Mom, what's going on?" Rose approached their table with a smile that somehow managed to be both apologetic and determined. "I'm sorry to interrupt your Saturday tradition, but I thought it was time to control the narrative before someone else does it for us." She gestured to the woman with the camera. "This is Jennifer Martinez from Lifestyle magazine. She's here to do a story about real love stories, and I think yours qualifies." Maya felt her stomach drop. She had been dreading the inevitable media attention that would come with their engagement announcement. "Mrs. Wellington, Rose, I don't think I'm ready for this," Maya said quietly. Jennifer Martinez stepped forward with a warm smile. "Ms. Johnson, I understand your hesitation. But I've been researching your story, and I think you'll be surprised by how people respond to authenticity." "What do you mean?" Marcus asked, protective instincts clearly activated. "I mean that in a world full of fake celebrity relationships and manufactured love stories, yours is refreshingly real," Jennifer explained. "A billionaire who disguised himself to give his daughter normal experiences, and a waitress who fell in love with him before she knew who he was. That's not a story that makes people cynical. It's a story that gives them hope." Emma perked up with interest. "Are you going to write about how Maya makes the best pancakes and teaches me to be brave?" Jennifer laughed. "If Maya is willing to share that part of the story, absolutely." Maya looked around the diner, her sanctuary, her workplace, her second home. Then she looked at Marcus and Emma, the family she had never expected but couldn't imagine living without. "If we do this," Maya said slowly, "it has to be honest. No fairy tale nonsense about Cinderella and Prince Charming. This is about two real people who found each other while trying to do right by a little girl." "That's exactly the story I want to tell," Jennifer assured her. For the next hour, Jennifer interviewed them right there in the diner. She photographed Maya serving other customers, captured the easy interaction between the three of them, and listened to Emma's enthusiastic description of how Maya had changed their lives. The resulting article, published 2 weeks later, surprised everyone. Instead of focusing on the wealth disparity, or treating their relationship like a modern fairy tale. Jennifer had written about the importance of authentic connection in an artificial world. She highlighted Maya's decision to keep working, Emma's growth under Maya's influence, and Marcus's willingness to step away from his privileged bubble to find real happiness. The public response was overwhelmingly positive. Maya received letters from single mothers thanking her for showing that love could cross any boundary. Young women wrote to say she had inspired them to value character over status. Most surprisingly, several wealthy individuals reached out wanting to learn about the foundation idea Emma had inspired. But the moment that meant the most to Maya came on their wedding day, 6 months later. The ceremony was held at the mansion, but Maya had insisted on having Mama's Kitchen cater the reception. As she walked down an aisle lined with family and friends from both their worlds, she saw Emma waiting at the altar beside Marcus, wearing a junior bridesmaid dress and holding a bouquet of flowers she had helped arrange. When the minister asked if anyone had anything to say before the vows, Emma stepped forward with the confidence Maya had helped her develop. "I want to say something," Emma announced to the gathered crowd. "Maya taught me that the best people are the ones who are kind when they don't have to be, and brave when it's hard, and loving when it matters most. Daddy needed someone like that, and so did I." She turned to Maya with the serious expression she wore when saying something important. "Maya, thank you for loving us before you knew you were supposed to. Thank you for making our family complete." There wasn't a dry eye in the crowd as Maya knelt down to hug Emma, her new daughter in every way that mattered. Later, during the reception, as Maya danced with Marcus under lights strung between ancient oak trees, she marveled at the journey that had brought them here. "Any regrets?" Marcus whispered in her ear as they swayed to music that mixed elegantly with the laughter of their guests. Maya looked over his shoulder at Emma, who was teaching Rose how to make paper airplane centerpieces, then at the mixture of diner regulars and business associates who were discovering they had more in common than they had expected. "Just one," Maya said, smiling up at her new husband. Marcus raised an eyebrow with concern. "I regret that it took us so long to find each other," Maya said, pulling him closer. "But I suppose some things are worth waiting for." As if on cue, Emma appeared beside them, tugging on Maya's wedding dress. "Maya, can we go back to Mama's Kitchen tomorrow for pancakes? I want to show everyone my pictures from the wedding." Maya laughed, the sound mixing with Marcus's chuckle and the warm buzz of celebration around them. "Of course, sweetheart. Some traditions are too important to break." And so the story that began with a disguised billionaire and a kind waitress continued with a family that had learned the most important lesson of all, that love isn't about what you have or where you come from, but about how you choose to treat the people who matter most. Every Saturday, the Wellington family could still be found in their corner booth at Mama's Kitchen, proving that the best things in life are often the simplest ones, and that kindness shown to a child can change the entire course of a family story.